simple, fundamental question. Why can't we just place naked DNA directly into a host cell? It seems so straightforward, doesn't it? Just take the genetic instruction you want and, well, drop it into the new cell. But naked DNA, which is just the pure DNA strand all by itself, is incredibly fragile. It's inherently unstable in a new environment, and honestly, it's completely unable to survive or multiply on its own. That simple, direct approach fails because of two major barriers. First, the host cell isn't just an empty room waiting for instructions. It's a highly defended fortress. It contains sophisticated enzymes called nucleases, which act exactly like a strict security system. These nucleases are designed to recognize and completely destroy any foreign, non-self DNA, just to protect the cell. And second, well, even if the naked DNA somehow survived the security system, it lacks something absolutely crucial, an origin of replication. Without this specific starting point, the host cell's machinery simply doesn't know it needs to copy the new DNA. So when the cell divides and grows, our precious piece of naked DNA is just left behind, lost forever. To really picture this microscopic journey, imagine that the target DNA, our genetic sequence, is a highly valuable but incredibly fragile handwritten letter. Now imagine that the host cell is a highly secured ancient archive. This archive is heavily guarded by security officers, which in our biological world are those nucleases we just talked about. If you just take your naked, unprotected letter and throw it right over the wall into the archive, well, the guards are going to find it immediately. They won't know what it is, they won't trust it, and they'll shred it to pieces to protect the archive. The solution to bypassing these guards is actually quite beautiful. Let me read you this core rule of molecular biology, and let's just take it in slowly. To succeed, you must place the paper inside a recognized, secure envelope that identifies the package as authorized. That right there is the core secret. We literally cannot send the letter alone. We must provide it with molecular credentials. We need an envelope that the guards recognize, an envelope that tells the archive machinery exactly how to file, process, and copy the letter safely inside. And this brings us to the true identity of our biological envelope. We call it a cloning vector. A cloning vector is a self-replicating DNA molecule. It acts as a specialized vehicle, kind of like a tiny molecular transport ship, designed perfectly to carry foreign genetic material safely right into a host cell. Because it's self-replicating, it already holds the natural keys and instructions needed to survive and multiply within that cellular archive. Now, if the cloning vector is the envelope, then we definitely need a name for the letter itself. In biology, we call this the insert. The insert is the specific DNA fragment, the targeted gene or sequence that we are trying so carefully to deliver. It's the precious information, the actual message we want the host cell to read and understand. So the crucial point is what happens when these two parts finally join together. When we carefully place our insert into our cloning vector, they merge to form what we call a recombinant DNA molecule. The vector and the target gene become one unified structure. It functions seamlessly together as an artificial chromosome. Inside this combined molecule, our fragile foreign DNA is now hidden and completely protected from degradation. And even better, it's ready to be naturally replicated by the host cell's own internal enzymes. Now, for a physical envelope to make it safely through the mail, it needs a stamp, an address, and a good seal, right? Similarly, a cloning vector has to meet 5 structural requirements to be an efficient vehicle. Think of this as a biological checklist for the perfect envelope. It needs an origin of replication, a selectable marker, a multiple cloning site, it absolutely must have a small size, and it needs host vector compatibility. Let's walk through these gently, step by step. The first requirement is the origin of replication, which scientists often just call the ORI. This is a very specific sequence of DNA where the host cell's reading machinery, the DNA polymerase, actually begins the delicate process of copying. The ORI is essentially the engine of the vector. And what's really fascinating is that the ORI also dictates the vector's copy number. The copy number is simply the average number of these vector molecules that are maintained inside a single host cell. Some vectors are designed to be copied just a few times, while others are copied hundreds of times, and it's all controlled by this one small sequence. Moving down our checklist, we have selectable markers and small size.
A selectable marker is a special gene, very often one that gives the cell resistance to a specific antibiotic. This marker is like a bright waving flag that helps us easily find and identify the exact cells that successfully took up our vector. If a cell has the vector, it survives the antibiotic. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't survive. We also require vectors to be small in size. A smaller vector is actually a sturdier vector. It's much less likely to break or shear apart when we're purifying it, and its small, compact shape makes it so much easier to slip right through the walls of the host cell.
Now we come to the multiple cloning site. To put the letter in the envelope, we obviously need to carefully open it first. And to do this, we use a restriction endonuclease. These are truly remarkable enzymes that act like highly precise molecular scissors. They read the DNA and cut it only at very specific palindromic recognition sequences. By cutting the vector open with these microscopic scissors, we create specially shaped ends, perfectly preparing the envelope to receive our genetic insert without breaking any of the vector's other important functional parts. Once the insert is softly placed inside the opened vector, we must seal the envelope shut. For this, we use an enzyme called DNA ligase. DNA ligase is our essential biological glue. It catalyzes the formation of strong phosphodiester bonds, permanently and safely sealing the covalent link between our vector envelope and our precious genetic insert. So now, our recombinant DNA molecule is whole, intact, and totally ready for its journey. We also have to remember that letters come in all different sizes, and so must our envelopes. The capacity of the vector has to scale perfectly with the size of the genetic insert. For a small, routine piece of genetic code, say between half a kilobase to 10 kilobases, we use a simple plasmid. If our message is a bit larger, maybe 10 to 20 kilobases, we use a phage vector. For larger gene clusters up to 45 kilobases, a cosmid is required. And as we start dealing with massive pieces of information like large-scale genome mapping, we step up to a bacterial artificial chromosome, or BAC, which holds up to 300 kilobases. Finally, for the absolute largest genetic libraries, over 1,000 kilobases, we use massive yeast artificial chromosomes, or YACs. It's like having different box sizes for shipping. We always choose the perfect envelope for the size of our story. So, our envelope is sealed and ready to go. But the doors of our destination, the host cell, are still locked tight. We can't just force our way in. Instead, we gently prepare the destination. We create what are called competent cells. These are host cells that have been carefully treated, either chemically or physically, to subtly increase the permeability of their outer membranes. We're essentially softening the walls, gently unlocking the microscopic doors so that our DNA envelope can slip quietly and safely inside. And this brings us to the final, really beautiful step in our journey: transformation. Transformation is the climax of our story. It's the peaceful, successful moment when the exogenous DNA, wrapped safely in its vector envelope, is finally introduced into the competent bacterial host cell. The letter has safely arrived in the archive. The guards have accepted the envelope, the machinery reads the origin of replication, and the new genetic information is safely preserved, read, and multiplied. As we conclude our gentle journey through this explainer today, I want to leave you with a thought to hold on to. We've learned how to perfectly pack and deliver a genetic message, ensuring it arrives safely, protected, and ready to be read. If a microscopic vector can safely deliver any genetic message we design into a living cell, what incredible, life-changing biological letters will we choose to write next? The language of life is literally in our hands now, waiting for the next beautiful sentence to be written.